Hello guys, so let's start with our topic for today about the Java object-oriented programming, classes and objects. So we will discuss what is Java OOP, what is the difference between class and object. So what is OOP? OOP stands for object-oriented programming, and in the hierarchy of programming, we have this procedural or machine procedural and object-oriented programming. So procedural programming is about writing procedures or methods that perform operations on the data. So it is a sequential form of writing a code, while object-oriented programming is about creating objects that contain both data and methods. So we have this in procedural, it's all about operations. So you write the code about operations, while in OOP you will separate the data or the property of the object, and then the methods, which is the actions or the operations of the object. Object-oriented programming has several advantages over procedural programming. Number one is OOP is faster and easier to execute. And OOP provides a clear structure for the programs. Faster and easier to execute because you will separate your like blueprint of your class, or you will create a class that will represent a certain object in the reality, and then you have this separate execution in calling those classes, so it's easier and easy to maintain. That's the clear structure of for the programs, and I will show you later on how to do it. OOP helps to keep the Java code dry, or don't repeat yourself. If you already have the class of a certain object, then you will just use it in many times. Like example, in creating a building, you need to have a blueprint, right? In creating a building, and this blueprint, okay, sorry, okay, and this blueprint can be used to create multiple houses. Okay, like example, one blueprint I can create like hundreds of blueprint. So in OOP, that's also possible in Java object-oriented programming. So write once and use many times, or don't repeat yourself, and makes the code easier to maintain, modify, and debug. OOP makes it possible to create a reusable application with less code and shorter development time. Like example, if you already have the code for a person class, and then you use that one in your like human resource management system, and then later on you develop like student information system, so you already have the class for the person, you can use that one in the development of the student information system, so you can shorten your development time. So classes are objects, and objects are the two main aspects of object-oriented programming. So example, a class like a fruit, and an object is apple. Apple is a fruit. Banana is a fruit. Mango is a fruit. So you need to create a class to represent a different objects. Like example, a car, there's so many types of car. Okay? So a class is a template for objects. So this is the template to create the object. And an object is an instance of a class. That's why in OOP, when we use the reference or the class, when we call the class, we said we need to instantiate the class to create the object, not declare. Declaration is only part of the 8 primitive data types. When the individual objects are created, they inherit all the variables and methods from the class. So inside of the class, you have these members of the class, you have the variables and methods, and then once you instantiate an object of the certain class, you inherited all of the members of that particular class. Okay, so that's the power of object-oriented programming. So Java is an object-oriented programming language. Everything in Java is associated with classes and objects. When we said Java, it's associated with class and object, along with its attributes and methods. So every class has its own attributes and methods. For example, in real life, we have a car. Car is an object. The car has attributes such as weight, color, and methods such as drive and brake. So these are the members of the class. A class is like an object constructor, or the blueprint for creating the object. So same as what I said about building. So you will create a blueprint and you can instantiate multiple objects out of that blueprint. Okay, so this is an example on how to create a class. We already learned how to code, but we did not uh, briefly or discuss the full context of how to create a class. So this is the fundamental of declaring a class or creating a class. You need this public, this is access modifier, either public or private or protected. So this is access modifier. This is required. Class is required. So if you create a class, you need to have the class, and then the main or the name of the class. Make sure that the first letter in the name of the class should be capital, and then open and close braces. Inside of that 2 is the body of the class. Okay, so we will create later about how to create a class. And then how to instantiate an object. So to instantiate an object, you have a main class. To instantiate is to call the name, which is the name, and then you will create the name of the object. So my object is representing the main class. And once you call this object, you need to use the new operator and the name of the class. This is what called instantiation of the class, the main class, with the name of my object. And then semicolon. So this is the format on how to instantiate a class. And then since in the main class you have this variable x, so you can call the x now as part of the member of the class. So my object, that operator, it will give you all the list of members of the class. In this particular, you have the x. Okay, so that's how to create a class. So let's go now with the real programming. The good thing in using netbeans is that you will no longer memorize on how to create the class, because you will just right click a new create class, right? So if you need to create a class, it will give you the default format. So like example, this is my first class. Okay, so it will give you this default format. Let's try to create a different class, like a reality class, new Java class, like example person. Okay, person. Okay, so you have the person class that will represent the real person, and then I will declare a variable or the property of that person, which is a string name. Okay, private. Now I will not write I will not write the access modifier, because I will explain that one in the setter and getter method. Int age, just these two. Okay, and then how to, this is now your your simple class, no? Okay, and then I will instantiate new person. In that case, I will create new class that will call this person. I will name this one as person main. Okay, now since I have the person class, I will call the person by writing the name, and then example person student, or person uh, P1, so equals new person. So this is the default instantiation of a certain class. So P1 is an object representing person. Okay, next is I will call the name of the I will declare, no, inside of this person I will assign a value of this one, like Sir Joecabz, and my age is 37. No, this is integer, so it should not be put into colon. Okay, and now we will call that. See out, what happened to you? See out. Okay. What? But it's not no longer working. Why? Okay, just write the system, and then call the what? Japanese. Call the object. What happened? P1. Yeah. P1 dot. I see. I will write first the entry point, public static void main. I forgot this one. String array of args, and then P1 what happened. I got a wrong answer. Let's try to make the main method inside of this class. Let me know what's the problem about this one. Person P1 equals new person. Okay, and then see out what happened to my here. Why did I anyway? And P1 dot, okay, name. So it will display the name, and the second one we will call the P net in this one, P1 dot age. Okay, so and then run the program. Okay. So it will display the information of this one. Sir, you said that we can create one class and then we can use that class to instantiate multiple object. Yeah, we can try that one. We can also try this. Person P2 equals new person. So you have now two person, which is P2 and P1. Okay, and we can change this one if you like. Okay, for the sake of example, just do it like this, and 2 and 2. Okay, and then run. See? So, question, sir. Each uh, each person has different value of each property. Like example, your name is Joecabz, but the other person should not be Joecabz. So later, I will explain that one using, in the next video, I will show you on how to create setter and getter for every property of the class. This one is just the purpose of showing you on how to create the class and how to instantiate the class and how to call the member of the class. So in this case, okay, so that's all for this video, and hopefully you learn on how to create a class, instantiate a class, and see you in the next video. And the next video is all about creating the properties and the attributes and the methods of the class. That's all for this video.